Microsoft xCloud is available for iPhone and iPad, at least in the form of a beta, and we've had the last couple of weeks to be able to play with this and form a couple of opinions about it. Now, in this video, we're going to cover off some of the good and some of the bad about xCloud, and for anybody who's been watching this channel for a little while now, you'll know that we are massive fans when it comes to cloud gaming. So let's crack on with the video and cover off some of the great stuff about it and some of the not so good. If you've been around on this channel for quite some time, then you'll know we are massive fans when it comes to NVIDIA GeForce Now. And we have been really excited about Microsoft xCloud for quite some time, just to see how well it performs and what sort of thing it's going to do when it comes to cloud gaming. For the past couple of weeks, I've been using it on my iPhone and on my iPad, and I've been having an absolute blast with the service. So let's kick off with some of the good stuff about it. First up, what is xCloud? Well, it's basically Xbox Game Pass, but in the form of cloud gaming. To get access to the cloud gaming side of things, it starts at £10.99 per month, but that also gives you access to everything else that you normally get through Xbox Game Pass. So you get access to an absolutely massive library of games, and a lot of those are AAA brand new titles that have recently come out. It's very much like Netflix for gaming, so if you have an Xbox or if you have a PC, you can download any of those games and basically start playing them, and it's not going to cost you anything apart from your subscription. The cloud gaming side of things has been available on Android for quite some time, but due to Apple's spat when it comes to cloud gaming, it's just not been available through iOS or iPadOS until very recently. The service is now available through Safari, and it is invite only and currently in beta, but it works surprisingly well. Now let's kick off with the good stuff, and the first one is the user interface. If you've already used Game Pass, then you'll know how easy it is to use. All of your games are organised in a very nice, easy to use library, and one of the standout features about this is it shows off what games are compatible with touch input, which is something we're going to come on to very shortly. Launching a game is as simple as finding the game that you want to play, hitting the play button, and then sitting through about a minute loading screen where you'll see the xCloud loading animation. Once that's ready to go, you're pretty much there. Wait times weren't particularly long. It normally lasted for about a minute to 2 minutes whilst the game loaded, and we didn't experience any queues, although you kind of expect that in the beta at the moment, so whether or not that changes in the future, we'll just have to watch this space. Once your game's loaded, the user interface isn't particularly busy, but there's not really anything that you can do. So if you're somebody who likes to be able to play with your stream quality settings and anything else like that, unfortunately we don't have access to those, or at least not that we could find anyway. This is a bit of a shame because it would be nice to be able to tweak some of those settings to suit the connection that you've currently got, but they're just not there at the moment. So I guess we'll just have to watch this space and see what happens in the future. Moving on to the next thing that we absolutely loved about the service is the touch-enabled options. So basically, Microsoft have now implemented touch controls to a lot of different games. So I took Dragon Quest out for a spin, and I had an absolute blast using the touch controls. Now, one thing to note about this is they do vary depending on the type of game that you're playing and what's happening in the game as well. So in Dragon Quest, in the actual main part of the game, you'll get a lot of controls on your screen. However, when you move into something like a cutscene, they move across to the side and give you absolute full view of the game that you're playing, which is pretty neat, and I like the way that those work. Now, one thing to note is you can't customize these controls at all, which is an absolute letdown at the moment, and very similar to NVIDIA GeForce Now. It just seems to be something that's lacking on both of these cloud gaming services. Now, if you compare it to something like Steam at home streaming, you get full access to customize those controls. So you can shrink them, you can remove different buttons that you're not going to be interacting with, and you can make them more transparent. But on pretty much all the cloud gaming services, for whatever reason, you don't get access to that. In the footage that you're seeing right now, this is Microsoft xCloud, and as you can see, there's a lot of buttons on the screen, and they're relatively colourful at times as well, and they can just get in the way. They're not bad, but being able to customise those and move them around would definitely make a massive improvement in terms of that gameplay experience. Moving across onto something like NVIDIA GeForce Now, as you can see, you don't get any options to change those. However, they are a little bit more transparent, and there's not any colour to them as well, so they don't really get in the way quite as much as they do on xCloud. However, where xCloud absolutely takes the cake is the fact that it shows you off what titles are going to be optimized for touch controls, and those touch controls work a hell of a lot better than they do on NVIDIA GeForce Now. I've been playing Dragon Quest pretty much exclusively on my iPhone 11 Pro Max using just the touch controls, and it works like a dream. I've had an absolute blast using it. It never gets particularly fiddly, and although I do lose some of the view of my screen, it's an overall fantastic experience. So that's some of the good stuff aside, but let's move on to some of the more mediocre stuff. And unfortunately, that's in the stream quality. Now, we've been spoiled by the likes of Nvidia GeForce Now, which has been delivering a pretty fantastic game streaming experience. We also recently took out Google Stadia for a spin, and we've got a review of that coming in the future, so make sure you hit subscribe to come along for that. But our early impressions of that is it's just pretty fantastic, and it feels like the game's running natively on the device. When it comes to something like Microsoft xCloud, that experience is nowhere near as good as something like Nvidia GeForce Now or Google Stadia. At its best, when my devices were plugged in via an Ethernet cable, it just looked relatively muddy, and that overall quality just didn't look anywhere near as good as something like Nvidia GeForce Now or Google Stadia. It's not necessarily bad, but it's definitely not the best quality I've seen. When it came to the Wi-Fi experience, I experienced a lot of lag, which you would expect over a wireless network. However, in comparison to something like Nvidia GeForce Now and something like Google Stadia, there was a lot more lag and an awful lot more dropped frames. If you're playing a game like Dragon Quest, which is more turn-based and slower paced, it's not a game-breaking experience. However, if you're playing something like a first-person shooter or something where you've got to be able to, react relatively quickly, then this is absolutely not going to be the service to play it on. Now, one thing that I absolutely want to stress at this point in the video is that we're UK based, so your experience if you're in the US might be an awful lot better than what we're currently getting. xCloud is currently in a beta, so they are trialing it at the moment and they're rolling out more infrastructure, so things will most likely improve astronomically in the future. So I just want to kind of throw that in there, that your experience may improve massively if you're based in the US. And while we're on that point, if you are in the US, let us know your thoughts on the service so far. Have you experienced dropped frames and lag and everything else? Or is it just us over in the UK that are getting the, lower end of the quality spectrum? So yeah, the overall streaming quality isn't as good as some of its competitors, but like I said, you wouldn't necessarily expect it to be there at the moment since it is just in testing. So yeah, the quality might not be up to the standards of something like Nvidia GeForce Now or Google Stadia, but it is absolutely more than playable. I've been playing Dragon Quest on my iPhone 11 and I've been having an absolute blast with that. Performance, although it does drop out occasionally, it does a really good job. Now, one area where xCloud absolutely decimates the competition, and the fact is that when you do have a dropout in connection and things start to slow down, it never boots you out of the session. It always maintains that connection, which is absolutely fantastic. I've had so many times in Nvidia GeForce Now where the connection will start to get a little bit choppy and then suddenly I just lose connection to the session completely. That's never once happened when I've been using xCloud, and somehow it just keeps me connected at all times. So even though things get a little bit choppy and there's definitely noticeable lag, it remains connected and it doesn't mean that I have to reload my session every single time. So you know what, hats off to them there. So in summary, xCloud is definitely a step in the right direction. I can't wait to see what Microsoft do with this, and in our opinion, they are probably going to be the go-to platform for cloud gaming in the future. If you're somebody who has a lot of different games through something like Steam or through Epic Games Store, then Nvidia GeForce Now is probably going to be the platform for you. However, if you prefer a more Netflix-like subscription model, then xCloud is absolutely the way to go. And if you've already got an Xbox and a PC that's capable of playing these games, then you know what? It offers a massively good value proposition. The future is absolutely bright for Game Pass, and especially now that xCloud is rolling out onto iPhone and iPad, and we cannot wait to see how this performs in the future. We'll obviously be having more reviews of this coming out as they introduce new features. We'll be taking the PC game streaming out for a spin in the very near future as well, so make sure you subscribe for that. And in the meantime, if you have any questions at all about it, let us know in the comments below, and we'll do our best to answer those. So as always, we hope you've enjoyed that video, and if you have, hit that like and subscribe button because it helps the channel to grow. It means you catch more awesome content in the future. In the meantime, stay safe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.